And what we're going to be looking at is threads. We just covered it slightly in the Surfer program in the last tutorial. There's two different ways of doing a thread in Java, and it's to do with like inheritance. Now, when you inherit a class in Java, your extends keyword is after the class name, and then the class that you're going to inherit. Now, there's a rule in Java program that Java only inherits one class, and so if you already got a class that inherits a class, it means that you can't inherit the thread class. So there's another way of doing it, and it's using the implements. We've already used implements in the past to use it for action listening and things like that. You implement an abstract class, so you're not inheriting it. What you're doing is you're going to implement that class and implement all its methods. Now, the thread class only has one method to implement, and that's the run method. And when you extend the thread, what you've got to do is override the run method that way. So there's two ways of doing it, and usually you do runnable, implements runnable way, because you'll probably be extending the thread some other class. Right, so what I've done here is I've created the runnable class, and that implements runnable. That's one of ways of doing it. Then I've done another class, and it's called Freddy class, and it extends thread. And you can see I've put simple code inside the run method, and it says extends thread, just prints it out, and the runnable I've just done the same, implements runnable. So there's two ways of doing it, and so I created a main, a class with a main method inside it, but I've not created, I've still got to type that out. So public static public void, static void, I'm not too sure now, void main string args. Right, so that's the main. So all we need to do, we'll do the thread. What we'll do is we'll make an instance of thread. So we're going to do this class here. So extends thread, and so what we do here is we create an instance of this class. So it's called Freddy class, if it's spelled right. Equals, no, we'll say Freddy. So that's us made an instance, and we access it with the name Fred. So what we can do is we can create an instance of it. So it's, we can access start. Now we've got the instance. We can go start, and so now we can run this main program, and it will do whatever code's inside run is what's going to be executed in that thread. So you can imagine this could be an animation to run beside a program. It could be like behind the scenes code to read information from a file. It could be behind the background thread to write information to a file. It could be to access internet. It could be anything, just that you don't, it's going to be run at the same time as your normal program. So if we run the program, you can see it's executed that run program. And so what we've done here is we extend thread, and we overridden the run program. That's the thread way of doing it. But this other way is the runnable, is to implement runnable instead of extend thread. And so there's an extra step involved. there's an extra step involved in Runnable, and so Runnable is like the class, make an instance of the class. So that's us made an instance and we've called it RC, and we can't go rc.start. What we've got to do, because we've implemented Runnable, have a thread object. This way when we extend thread we already have a thread object, so we don't need to create a thread object. But with the Runnable, because it's implemented, we have to implement Runnable, which is the run method, and then pass this to the thread that we create the main. So what we're going to do is create a thread and this has got to be a capital T, and all we need to do is just pass the thread RC, the instance of the Runnable thread, and that's us created the thread just like before, but with one extra step. We created an instance of Runnable class and we created a thread, which we didn't have to do with this one because it was already done by the extension. And so now we can access it with the TD, the thread. So TD dot and if we run the program, we'll save it first. And you can see implements Runnable from the run program, and so we can have as many like instances as we want made, and so that could be T1, T2, and so this 2. Make this 3. Save. Yeah, we've not created this one yet. Yeah, just get the numbers wrong, that's all. 2. So do it 3 times. Now, threads are important because if you're doing like a game animation thing, it's like, and you've got many different animations in the one screen, each animation will behave differently and can be a separate thread, and so you could have 2 characters moving on the screen controlled by different people, and that would be, you'd be able to do that because of different threads. You can also use threads for writing to files, reading from files, checking for internet connections and connecting and receiving data from the internet while your program's running. The user's not aware of this going on. And so instead of having one program, you can have many programs running at the same time. So it can be quite useful. So there's 2 different ways of doing a thread. It's implementing Runnable and extends. It's the 2 different ways, and both do the same thing, but what you've got to remember is the key is what's executed in a thread is the code that's inside run. And run doesn't return anything, and it doesn't take any parameters. It's a public void method, and no matter what way you do thread, extends or implements, you've still got to put the code inside run. And you start the thread with dot start method, the start method, So that's the two different ways of doing a thread. So again, thank you for your time, and if this has helped at least one person, then I'm very happy. Right, so thank